At dawn, the river's delta awakened slowly, its tranquil waters shimmering with the first blush of sunlight. Mist clung to the surface like a ghostly veil, curling out of the wooden docks that lined the edges of the village. The air was fragrant with the earthy scent of damp soil and rich, blooming wildflowers, mingling with the distant cries of awakening birds. Xandria Dunewind stepped out from her modest home, the cool morning breeze tugging gently at her dark trousers. She cast a glance over the peaceful scene before her, where villagers began their daily rituals, the rhythmic splash of fish being cleaned, the soft chatter of families gathering for breakfast, and the faint tinkle of a distant bell. Yet, beneath the serene surface, lay a turbulent current of expectation weighted upon her shoulders, a burden she was not sure she could carry. As she navigated through the village, the morning rituals enveloped her like a familiar shroud. An elder woman leaned over a wooden tave, carefully arranging the fish she had caught, her gnarled hands working with practiced precision.
Dear, come help me with these.
"You grow into quite the warrior," she paused, her eyes searching for something deeper in Xandria's gaze. The weight of the compliment hung in the air, yet it felt more like a chain than a praise. Xandria forced a smile, her heart beating a rapid tattoo against her chest, not for the admiration, but for the suffocating expectations that seemed to thicken with every passing moment. She turned away, the taste of iron on her tongue, and continued down the path toward the riverbank. After a few paces, she spotted her younger brother, Lysander, crouching by the water edge, intent on crafting a small boat from reeds. His bright enthusiasm was a stark contrast to the shadows darkening her heart.
Look, Xandria!
"Look what I made!" he exclaimed, holding up his creation with childish pride. For a fleeting moment, the weight on her shoulders lifted, replaced by a flicker of joy. But as she knelt beside it, his innocence reminded her of the heavy mantle awaiting her, the legacy of their lineage, the call to arms. "It beautiful lies," she said, ruffling his hair, yet her voice felt hollow even to her own ears. "You'll be a great warrior one day, just like me!" From behind a row of weathered huts, the sound of clashing metal rang out, piercing the morning calm.
Where's the village tree?
Despite the pull of her brother's laughter, Xandria's feet moved of their own accord toward the cacophony, familiar yet jarring. As she crossed into the clearing, she spotted her mentor, Talan, demonstrating a series of strikes to a group of eager novices. The sunlight caught the glint of his blade, illuminating the scars of his own battles.
His voice gave an anchor within my back to reality.
But even as she stepped forward, her heart raced with uncertainty, the unyielding urge to abandon her post gnawing at her resolve. The thrill of combat was enticing, yet the path before her felt laden with the weight of their traditions, a choice she was increasingly reluctant to make. Standing on the precipice of choice, Xandria felt the echoes of her past tugging at her, whispering of the duty she was born into. The sun continued to rise, casting a golden hue over the scene, but the clarity it brought only deepened her internal struggle. She glanced back at Lysander, still blissfully unaware of the storm brewing within her, and then at Talan, whose expectant gaze bore into her like a burning brand. In that moment, she realized that to honor her lineage would require more than mere obedience. Clenching her fists, she took a deep breath, the scent of the river mingling with the promise of dawn, and made her way toward the sacred grove of whispers, each step resonating with the fire of impending change. The sacred grove of whispers lay nestled within the embrace of the river's delta, a tranquil oasis where time seemed to ebb and flow like the gentle brook that snaked it through its heart. Towering ancient trees, their gnarled roots twisting through the loamy earth, stood sentinel, their thick canopies filtering shafts of golden sunlight that danced upon the forest floor in a mosaic of light and shadow. A rich tapestry of moss and luminescent fungi adorned the trunks, casting an otherworldly glow that mingled with the heady scent of damp earth and blooming wildflowers. Xandria Phelan stepped cautiously into this sacred space, her fitted leather tunic brushing against her skin like a second layer, her heartbeat quickening in the presence of the knowledge keeper, Ursula Dragon, whose commanding figure loomed beside the worn stone altar. Here, beneath the whispers of the grove, urgency coiled around Xandria like a vine, demanding she listen closely to the truths that hung in the air like ripe fruit, waiting to be plucked. Brits I bekumidud. Everett Sulford Whitney ich Croffelfied. Arshautius. A bet every oba positioner, and intentodinify tikino and banishisnethaf. You've come at last, she said, her voice a low murmur, resonating with the wisdom of ages.
Right this evening, I knew you would, though my time is short.
The code. It is vital, more than you can understand. If it is lost, so too are the foundations of our world. She turned her gaze to the brook, its gentle gurgle suddenly feeling like a countdown. Xandria took a step forward, her pulse thrumming in her ears. What do you mean? What do I need to know? Her words hung in the air, thick with the weight of fear and anticipation, as if the grove itself held its breath in expectation of Ursula's revelations. Ursula's scarred face softened. Momentarily, every line telling stories of battles fought and lost. The ancients spoke of a reckoning, a truth so potent it could shift the very balance of our lives.
You must uncover it. Find the hidden verses before the sun sets on my time.
The code is more than Dutch symbols. It is the heartbeat of our people, she implored, a tremor in her voice that mirrored the subtle vibrations in the ground beneath them. Xandria's resolve hardened, her fists clenching as the urgency of the moment seeped into her bones, igniting a fire she didn't know she possessed.
Right this evening, I was in who? I went over to me, do that.
By Omnanet Danish, I swear it. Her voice rose, echoing off the ancient trunks, a promise forged out of the very air that crackled with tension. As if on cue, a sudden tremor reverberated through the ground, rattling the leaves above and sending a cacophony of whispers swirling through the grove. Xandria stumbled, catching herself against the altar, her heart racing against the undulation of the earth. What was that? She gasped, eyes wide as she searched Ursula's face for answers. The knowledge keeper expression darkened, the weight of her impending mortality pressing down like the heavy humidity of the grove. Time runs short, my dear.
We're on the brink of something
monumental, and you must be prepared. The code is not merely a record, it is a key to a future forged in truth, one that cannot be lost to the shadows of ignorance. With each word, the air at them thickened, infused with both fear and determination. Xandria straightened, the tremor beneath her feet igniting an unquenchable resolve. Then teach me, she replied, her voice steady now, carrying the weight of her warrior lineage. Ready to see your totally good?
What?
I won't let this knowledge slip into the abyss.
He was wrestled in agreement, and Ursula nodded. The flicker of hope flashing in her voice seemed last, but she gestured toward the altar, where the sacred texts lay waiting to be unveiled.
The grove, once a serene sanctuary, pulsed now with a potent urgency, as the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting elongated shadows that hinted at the encroaching night and the trials yet to come. As the last rays of sunlight filtered through the canopy, illuminating the pages of the ancient texts, an overwhelming sense of destiny enveloped Xandria. This was not merely a task, it was a calling, a chance to redefine the very essence of her being. The grove thrummed with life, its whispers urging her forward as she reached for the scrolls, each word echoing the heartbeat of the ancients. And yet, in that moment of clarity, a shadow flickered at the edge of her vision, an omen perhaps of the trials that awaited. The ground had trembled, but now it was her resolve that would shake the foundations of tradition, and she would falter. The truth was within her grasp, and with it, the power to change everything. The edge of the dark forest loomed before Jarek Dunewind like a living entity, its shadowy depths a stark contrast to the vibrant sunlight spilling over the tranquil grove where he stood. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and blooming wildflowers, a deceptive perfume that hinted at serenity but cloaked secrets beneath. Towering trees whispered amongst themselves, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal fingers grasping for something lost. Jarek, tall and lean, felt the weight of his quest settle heavily on his shoulders, the cool leather of his tunic clinging to his skin as he steeled himself for the journey ahead. The Knowledge Keeper legacy pulsed through Head, a heartbeat of purpose that drove him toward the unknown, even as a lingering trepidation tightened in his chest. A branch cracked underfoot, and Jarek turned sharply, his heart racing. The air shifted, bringing with it the unmistakable chill of danger. From the shadows, Ursula Dragon emerged, her presence like a storm cloud, dark, oppressive, and charged with unspoken threats. The sunlight caught the scar across her left cheek, illuminating her features with a harsh light. "You're a fool to think you could walk into the forest, Jarek," she warned, her voice smooth yet laced with malice. "The truth you seek is not a pretty thing. Comes at a cost you're probably not prepared to pay." Jarek clenched his fists, the leather of his gloves creaking as he held back a retort. Her words hung heavy in the air, each syllable a drop of poison that seeped into his resolve.
I'm not afraid of the truth, Ursula.
Crazy, I owe it to the Knowledge Keeper to find it, and to my people.
You can scare me away with tales of consequences.
Crazy, I have to confront this. He stepped closer, his pulse quickening, the heat of determination mingling with the cool breath of the forest behind it. It's a practice con work. For Gunid Hawk that I've take found. The winter of the time post because talked von I am nisten ala charitata. The greedy nimblies they so. I'm she is black in palance.
You don't understand what lies within those trees.
Shadows that consume hope, creatures that feast on the naive.
And they leak on for you, Jarek.
They'll strip away every ounce of your resolve until you're left with nothing but despair.
What legacy will you honor then? Jarek felt the weight of her words, the flicker of doubt igniting like a spark in the dark, but he squared his shoulders, the fire in his belly igniting anew.
Right to see me hours a scene and
I not well.
Not now, not. Foolhardy and reckless, if you ask me, Ursula retorted, a smirk tugging at her lips, the shadows dancing around her like vipers waiting to strike. But I admire your spirit, even as it leads you toward your own destruction. Just remember, the forest does not welcome the weak.
And if you survive, I'll be waiting, watching. Shadows.
You will need more than courage to uncover the truth. As Ursula's warning echoed in his mind, Jarek took a deep breath, the scent of wildflowers mingling with the pungent aroma of earth, grounding him. With a final glance at the forest's dark embrace, he stepped forward, crossing the threshold into the shadows. Each step felt like a defiance against the weight of tradition, a call to uncover the secrets hidden within. The soft whisper of leaves, then the distant rustle of unseen creatures, welcomed dead, but the tension in the air thickened, promising challenges ahead. He was resolute, yet uncertainty wrapped around it like a fog. This journey would alter everything, and he was ready to face whatever lay ahead. The sacred grove of whispers lay draped in a shroud of verdant tranquility, where towering ancient trees stood like silent sentinels, their gnarled trunks cloaked in vibrant moss. Sunlight filtered through the thick canopy overhead, casting a dappled pattern on the forest floor, where wildflowers bloomed in a riot of colors, their sweet fragrance mingling with the rich scent of damp earth. Jarek Dunuin stepped cautiously into the glade, his heart thrumming with urgency as the soothing sounds of a nearby brook bubbled like a hidden promise. The air felt alive, heavy with unspoken truths, and he could almost hear the whispering secrets of the grove urging him forward. There, seated upon a smooth stone altar, was Ursula Dragon, her presence commanding yet serene, a stark contrast to the turmoil roiling inside hid. Her piercing blue eyes met his, and he felt the weight of his mission settle heavily on his shoulders. "You've come," then Ursula said, her voice a low rumble that seemed to merge with the murmur of the brook. She gestured for him to sit beside her, the intricate patterns of her purple gown shifting like shadows. "Speak of the corrupt official you seek to confront. What troubles your heart?" Jarek swallowed hard, the taste of dread bitter on his tongue. "His grip on the marketplace tightens, Ursula. They silencing those who dare question him, and I can't help but feel," he hesitated, the weight of his words heavy.
"What if I'm not strong enough to expose it? What if I fail?" The shadows danced in his mind, memories of those who had tried before Red. Their faces etched in his memory like mornings etched in stone.
Ursula's eyes softened, then hardened with resolve. It is not strength alone that defines a warrior, but the fire within. Many have tread this path before you, driven by justice, only to be snuffed out like fragile candle flames. The corrupt thrive on fear, yet their hubris can be their undoing. She paused, allowing her words to settle like the stillness of the grove, then continued. Remember Taran, who uncovered the truth only to be betrayed by those he trusted. His courage was a beacon, but his naivety costed dearly.
You must act swiftly, but wisely.
Jarek heart raced as her stories ignited a flicker of determination within him. He could feel the swell of his own courage rising like the brook bubbling current. He longed to honor the legacy of those who had fought before Red. As he met her gaze, something shifted in the air, a sense of purpose taking root amidst the unease.
Right, I do not let fear paralyze me any longer, Ursula.
If I must face it, I will do so with all I have.
Racy critical age terminal for digitals app.
Arshakio, I missed uncomfortable when exobligatorian did in dosen to percent quartarian the shittles. But how do I begin? Ursula smiled faintly, the corners of her mouth lifting as if she could see the resolve blossoming within her like the wildflowers at their feet.
You begin with knowledge of warrior.
The more you understand the darkness you eat, the brighter your light will shine.
Seek out the whispers of those who have been silenced. They may yet have strength left to guide you. Trust in the grove, for it has witnessed many battles and kept the secrets of the ages. But remember, Jarek, the path ahead is fraught with peril. You must be prepared to lose everything to gain what is most important. Now, go and let the grove reveal your way. As her words hung in the air, Jarek felt the embrace of destiny tightening around him, a chain forged in determination and the flickering hope of change. The vibrant marketplace of Rivermere buzzed with life, where the air hung heavy with the scent of spices, fresh produce, and the distant aroma of baked bread. Stalls bursting with colorful fabrics swayed gently in the breeze, their owners calling out to passers-by with a mix of fervor and desperation. Jarek Dunewind stood at the entrance, his heart pound in rhythm with the bustling crowd, a sea of faces both familiar and foreign. Clit in a simple leather tunic, his dark hair tousled by the wind, he felt the weight of purpose pressing against it. The sun cast a golden hue on the cobblestones, illuminating the path to fortune and folly alike. Today he would confront Ursula Dragon, the corrupt official whose grip on the village was as suffocating as the midday heat. He took a deep breath, steeling himself against the tide of anxiety washing over Eth. Region vader de Codih tep for Gmutic Croffelfied. We spotted her near a stall adorned with glistening trinkets, her dark gown sweeping elegantly around her as she laughed with a group of admirers. The contrast between her opulence and the common, folks-worn clothing stung like a thorn. Yes. The laughter faded, replaced by an uneasy silence as Ursula turned, her piercing blue eyes narrowing. A sly smile crept across her lips, the kind that hinted at the danger lurking beneath her charm. "Oh, Jarek, my dear," she purred, her voice smooth yet laced with mockery. Do you know what you're doing, you sin? I'm not feeling you can throw away. Racy Kriuk. Wookriv paths of lice. What could a simple village boy like you possibly want with? Her hair glinted in the sun, and Jarek felt a familiar surge of indignation bubbling beneath his skin.
Took a step aside, his fists twitched at his sides, determined not to show fear.
Know what you've done.
People are suffering because of your greed.
Suffering? Oh, darling, those are mere whispers of discontent. You see, control is an art, and brushstrokes must be just right.
Don't mistake my fortune for malice.
I merely owe what they choose to pay for. Her laughter rang out, sharp and taunting, while Jarek felt the heat of anger bloom in his chest. He could sense the guards shifting nearby, their eyes fixed on him with gray suspicion, like wolves closing in on prey. You can't keep this up forever, Ursula, Jarek shot back, his voice low and fierce. But the flicker of doubt in his mind was like a crack in the ice. She flashed a quick glance over her shoulder, and instantly her guards moved in, their armored forms blocking his path like a wall of stone. Jarek's heart raced, adrenaline surging as he weighed his option. With a swift glance, he spotted a narrow alleyway just beyond the guards, a fleeting chance to escape. He took a breath and surged forward, ducking under an outstretched arm and sprinting into the throng of the market, the cacophony of voices engulfing him once more. Driving him deeper into the chaos, Vase the guard shouted behind him. "You can't run from the truth, Jarek," Ursula's voice echoed. But he pressed on, the world did blurring, determination igniting his every step. As Jarek maneuvered through the bustling crowd, his heart hammered in his chest, the din of the marketplace now a blur of sound. He could feel the grip of fear tightening, yet with each footfall, his resolve grew sharper. Glanced back to see Ursula guards lost in the throng, their shouts fading into the distance. A fire ignited within him, not to escape, but to uncover the truth that lay buried beneath layers of deceit and fabrication.
Deep in his gut, Jarek felt the old pain of loss twist into something new. Hope.
He returned armed with the knowledge that the real battle was only beginning.
In the heart of the ancient temple, the hidden chamber pulsed with the ghosts of ages long gone.
Jarek Dunewind, Tev, amid a labyrinth of stone, the air heavy with the scent of damp earth and centuries-old incense. Flickering shadows danced on the walls, illuminating intricate carvings that twisted and turned like a forgotten language, yearning to be understood. The dim light cast an eerie glow on Jarek's furrowed brow. Sweat gathered at his temples as he traced the ancient code etched into the surface. Each stroke of his finger brought a flicker of comprehension, a tantalizing whisper of truth that beckoned dead close, urging him to unravel the secrets that had remained buried for too long. Yet, beneath the thrill of discovery lay an undercurrent of anxiety, a keen awareness that time was slipping through his fingers. The weight of his quest pressed heavily on his shoulders, and he was all too aware that he was not alone in this sacred space. Just as the patterns of the carvings began to crystallize in Jarek's mind, the oppressive silence fractured with the sharp sounds of boots against stone. They barely had time to react when two burly henchmen burst into the chamber, their faces twisted with malicious glee.
The air thickened with tension, and Jarek heart raced, a primal instinct surging to the forefront as he straightened, fists clenched.
"You shouldn't be hit," one of them growled, advancing with a threatening posture. Jarek's gaze darted to the walls, the code meaning slipping like sand through his fingers, but he refused to let fear overtake him. "I'm not finished yet," he retorted, readying himself for the oncoming confrontation, a spark of defiance igniting within him. With a wild swing, one of the henchmen lunged forward, aiming for Jarek's throat. The strike was clumsy, born out of brutish confidence rather than skill, and Jarek sidestepped, feeling the rush of air as the man stumbled past. In that moment of chaos, adrenaline surged within him, fueling his resolve. It spun Zund, narrowly avoiding the second henchman's grasp while his mind raced. This was not a battle of brawn, but a desperate race against time. The enigma of the temple's code beckoned dimly in the background, urging him to escape, to fight for the knowledge that eluded him. "You're not taking me down that easily," Jarek shouted, propel himself towards the narrow stone exit, the cold air rushing to meet him as he broke free from their clutches. But as he dashed through the threshold, a heavy hand caught hit by the shoulder, yanking him back. The ground wobbled beneath him, an internal struggle unfolding as he fought against the grip of despair. Jarek twisted, the dark eyes of the henchman burning with triumph, but he instinctively elbowed back, breaking free once more. He sprinted into the labyrinthine corridors, each echoing footfall a reminder of the deeper battle he waged within, a war against the very shadows that sought to consume Mid. Outside the temple, the sky was an angry bruise of gray, a stark contrast to the fragile glimmer of hope that clung to Jarek's heart. Leaned against the cool rough stone chest, heaving as he wrestled with frustration and determination. He had escaped, yet the code remained hauntingly out of reach, a whisper of truth destined to elude to. With each labored breath, He understood that this was merely the beginning. He would return. But this time, he would be the prey. The Knowledge Keeper legacy demanded more than just courage. It required cunning, and the clouds above surged with impending rain. Jarek mind raced with plans, plotting his next move in a game far more perilous than he had anticipated. The flickering candlelight danced across the humble dwelling of Ursula Dragon, casting shadows that seemed to waltz with the dust motes suspended in the air. The walls, lined with artifacts from a life spent unraveling knowledge, whispered secrets of ages past. An intricate tapestry hung behind a low wooden table, its fabric rich with hues of deep indigo and gold, depicting the battles fought by those who had come before. Jarek Dunewind stood at the threshold, the weight of his mission pressing down like an iron cloak. He hesitated, heart pound against the confines of his chest. The aroma of herbs and aged parchment filled his lungs as he stepped further inside, his fingers brushing against the rough-hewn surface of an ancient tome, an artifact that had witnessed countless hopes and fears.
Grace here for you, whether I'm or his
And piercing a la police blooming eno atar arna mist fatin exvar heitling. This flickering light catching the prominent scar in her cheek. A reminder of battles fought and won. She leaned forward, her voice low but steady. What troubles you, Jarek? I can see it in the way your hands tremble. Jarek's mouth felt dry. The words lodged in his throat like stones. What if I fail? What if I can't live up to what the Knowledge Keeper expects? His gaze fell to the worn rug beneath his feet, its intricate patterns swirling like the doubts in his mind. Cleats clenched his fists, the rough fibers digging into his palms as he swallowed hard, trying to stifle the tide of anxiety rising within it. The shadows around him seemed to deepen, amplifying his fear of the looming challenges ahead. Ursula's eyes softened, and she reached across the table, her fingers wrapping gently around his clenched hand. Failure is merely a stepping stone on the path to greatness, Jarek. Every warrior knows this truth. You carry the flame of the Knowledge Keeper within you. Trust that it guides you even in the darkest of times. Don't let the weight of expectation crush you. Her voice held the weight of experience, and for a moment the flickering candlelight seemed to flicker less fiercely, as if in response to her steady conviction. A tremor of doubt still coursed through Jarek, yet he felt a flicker of something else, a spark igniting within the depths of his uncertainty. He lifted his gaze to meet Ursula, finding solace in her fierce belief. You really think I can do this? He asked, his voice barely a whisper, yet charged with a new urgency. Ursula nodded, her own fierce determination reflected in her gaze. Yes, but courage alone is not enough.
You must also be cunning.
The shadows are gathering, and you'll need to be swift and clever to navigate them. Jarek drew a deep breath, the weight of his mission settling down did like a mantle of inevitability. He felt the embers of newfound courage stoke within him, a quiet resolve grow as he nodded slowly.
Right, I not let you down.
I will uncover the truth, no matter the cost.
As he turned to leave, the candlelight flickered ominously, casting long shadows on the walls, a warning of the challenges yet to come. Outside, the air felt charged, as if the world itself anticipated his next move, the storm clouds swirling above a harbinger of the trials that lay ahead. Under a blanket of stars, the lakeside lay in tranquil silence, the moon casting a silvery path that danced across the water surface. The air was cool, tinged with the earth's dampness and the faint, sweet scent of wildflowers that thrived in the shallows. Jarek Dunewind knelt at the water edge, fingers splayed in the soft mud, his heart heavy with the weight of unspoken fears. The gentle lap of the lake against the shore was a stark contrast to the turmoil roiling within him. Nearby, the figure of Ursula Dragon stood like a sentinel, her presence both comforting and daunting, the elegant lines of her dark gown punctuating the night. She watched Did with her piercing blue eyes, a knowing gaze that seemed to see the very essence of his struggle.
You must confront your doubts, Jarek.
Ursula's voice broke the stillness, rich and firm, like the deep toll of a bell. She stepped closer, the fabric of her gown whispering against her curves, its weight resonating with the gravity of her words. The truth lies beyond the fear you cling to. You cannot allow despair to cloud your vision. A shiver coursed through Jarek, as if the very air vibrated with the honesty of her counsel. He turned his gaze to the lake, the moonlight revealing the depths of his turmoil, reflections shifting like his own uncertain heart. Inhaled sharply, the earthy scents mingling with the sweet decay of fallen leaves, grounding him in that moment.
What if the truth is too much to bear?
What if I find that everything I believed was a lie? His voice cracked, the vulnerability spilling forth like the water lapping at his fingertips. Ursula's expression softened, her empathy palpable as she crouched beside him, the weight of her own scars evident in the lines of her face. Truth is seldom easy, Jarek. But to remain shackled by doubt is a prison far worse than any reality you may face. You must choose your path, or the darkness will choose for you. The silence between them thickened, punctuated only by the soft rustle of the leaves above, whispering secrets of their ill. Jarek's heart raced, the pull of destiny wrapping round Dead like the cool night air. A surge of resolve broke through his despair, igniting a flicker of hope against the backdrop of uncertainty. He clenched his fists, his determination rising like the tide.
I will not let fear bind me any longer.
Great secret. I choose to seek the truth, no matter the cost.
I'll face whatever shadows lie ahead, even if it means sacrificing everything I know. The air crackled with the intensity of his words, infused with a newfound courage that pushed back against the darkness swirling inside him.
Raise Eager's engineered.
Then you must prepare yourself, Jarek.
The path ahead is fraught with challenges, but you are not alone. The stars above witness your courage, and the waters will guide you. With those words hanging heavy in the air, Jarek felt the weight of his decision settle upon Did like a mantle of purpose. As the moon continued its silent vigil, he rose, heart pound with the call of destiny urging him onward, unaware of the ripples of that night would forever alter the course of his life. The market square was a tapestry of shadow and light as dusk descended, the vibrant stalls draped in silks and spices, casting long silhouettes upon the cobbled stones. The air buzzed with the mingling scents of roasted meat and fragrant herbs, mingling with the distant laughter of children darting between vendors. Jarek Dunewind moved through the throng, his heart a restless drumbeat, each step echoing with the weight of his purpose. Past the flickering lanterns, he spotted Ursula Dragon, her commanding presence framed by a cascade of deep purple fabric, the golden threads glinting in the fading light. He could see the familiar scar that traced her cheek like a map of battles fought, and it reminded Ted that wisdom often came at a price. Their eyes met, and in that moment, an unspoken understanding passed between them, a tether biding their fates as the first stars began to prick the evening sky. Ursula's piercing blue gaze settled on Jarek as he approached, a mixture of pride and concern flickering in her expression. "You've arrived just in time," she said, her voice a low, velvety timbre that cut through the market chatter. The council meets soon to decide the fate of the Knowledge Keeper legacy. We must act before they seal it with their ignorance. Derek nodded, feeling the weight of her words. He could sense the urgency in her, the way her fingers curled tightly around the edge of her gown, as if she were grasping at threads of fate. I've been thinking about our options, but it feels like he trailed off, looking for the right words amidst the thrumming energy of the market, where laughter often masked deeper sorrows. Ursula stepped closer, her voice dropping to a near whisper. If we confront the council, we risk everything.
They'll see us as threats rather than allies.
But what choice do we have? If we do nothing, the truth dies with the knowledge keeper. She brushed a stray lock of gray-streaked hair behind her ear, her determined expression juxtaposed against the soft glow of the market lanterns.
Derek's heart raced.
He could feel the truth of her words, cold and unforgiving, as they settled in the pit of his stomach. With a game of chess, where they were mere pawns, and yet the flicker of his own resolve began to ignite.
Then we need a pan, one that forces their hand.
The truth cannot remain buried any longer, he replied, the tension in his voice palpable as he leaned closer, feeling the urgent pulse of their mission.
We must gather support from the warriors of the Delta.
If we can show the council that others stand with us, they might listen. But it won't be easy, Ursula warned, her brow furrowing as she scanned the crowd for familiar faces. Jareth felt the gravity of her words, and yet something stirred within him, a mix of fear and fervor. Recall the stories of the ancients, the battles fought for justice, and the price of silence. We've come too far to back down now, he asserted. The conviction in his voice grows stronger.
I speak to them, rally them to our cause, and it's going
It's time to reclaim our narrative, our truth. Her lips curved into a faint smile, one that bridged the chasm of their fears through the marketplace buzzing with life. Of them felt like the first step toward their destiny, even amid the uncertainty of their path.
As the last light of day surrendered to the encroaching night, Jarek felt a surge of determination flood through him. He could almost hear the whispers of the ancient trees in the sacred grove, urging him to uncover the truth hidden beneath layers of deceit. He turned to Ursula, who was adjusting the rich folds of her gown, her eyes glinting with a mixture of pride and concern. "We'll meet at the grove at dawn," he said, voice resolute. Ursula nodded, a flicker of approval dancing in her gaze. But as Jarek stepped away, a shadow crossed his path, a figure, watching from the edge of the market, cloaked in darkness. The game had only just begun, and the stakes were higher than he dared to imagine. The sacred grove of whispers held a quiet majesty, its towering ancient trees standing sentinel to the passage of time. Sunlight streamed through the verdant canopy, casting dappled patterns on the forest floor, where wildflowers nodded gently in the soft breeze. The earthy scent of damp soil mingled with the sweet perfume of blossoms, creating an atmosphere that felt both sacred and solemn. Jarek Dunewind stood at the heart of this tranquil grove, his pulse quickening as he faced Ursula Dragon, the wise mentor, whose presence was as commanding as the ancient roots beneath their feet. Her piercing blue eyes were thoughtful, a flicker of intensity that made the air between them thrum with unspoken truths and heavy knowledge.
Today, everything would change.
Ursula moved closer, the fabric of her dark purple gown whispering against her curvaceous form as she extended a weathered dead, revealing an ancient scroll, its edges frayed and ink faded.
This, Jarek, is the code of our ancestors.
There's the weight of their sacrifices in the wisdom they unearthed from the very earth we stand upon. You must embrace it, for it is now your burden to bear. Her voice held a melodic resonance that wrapped around Hid, both soothing and urgent, compelling Hid to meet her gaze with fierce determination. His fingers trembled as he reached for the scroll, the rough texture of the parchment grounding him in the moment. The secrets it contained felt alive, pulsing with the history of those who had dared to wield its power. Cleet glanced at Ursula, her scar bearing witness to battles fought and won, and a swell of courage surged within him. "What lies ahead is fraught with danger, isn't it?" he asked, his voice steady despite the turmoil churning in his gut. The brook babbled nearby, a calming sound that belied the storm he faced. "Yes," she replied, her expression serious but not unkind.
But look around you.
The trees have endured centuries of storms. They still stand.
You must find your own roots. Yeah.
Understand what you fight for, and let that knowledge fortify you. The truth is often hidden in shadows, and only the brave dare to bring it into the light. Her words ignited a flicker of resolve in his heart as he felt the weight of tradition pressing upon him. Jarek swallowed hard, the gravity of her words sinking in. He could almost taste the metallic tang of fear in the air, but he resolutely pushed it aside.
Then I will face it.
Great to see you recover soon.
Yeah, I was if you need to drive out. And I don't still
Great to see your attitude.
I owe it to those who came before me, and to myself. The moment stretched, filled with the sound of rustling leaves and the soft gurgle of the brook, each note echoing his burgeoning courage. Ursula nodded slowly, her approval palpable, and in that moment, Jarek knew he had crossed a threshold. The ancient knowledge was no longer merely a relic, it was a living force, intertwining with his very essence. As he turned to leave the grove, the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows that danced like specters ours did. The gain was afoot, and the stakes were far greater than he had imagined. Each step away from the grove felt like a stepping stone toward his destiny, but lurking in the back of his mind was the shadow of danger that awaited him in the world beyond the grove. The confrontation was inevitable, and he could almost hear the whisper of the trees urging him forward, beckoning him toward the unknown. The grand hall of Ursula Dragonoon Estate loomed like a fortress of shadows and splendor, its marble columns reaching toward a ceiling painted with scenes of conquest, illuminated by the flickering light of crystal chandeliers. A heavy scent of incense mingled with the faint metallic tang of unease in the air, as if the room itself bore witness to the secrets exchanged within its opulent walls. Jarek Dunewind stood at the threshold, heart racing, the fabric of his tunic clinging to his damp skin. Cleet clenched the ancient code tightly in his palm, the parchment warm from his body heat, a tangible reminder of the truth he sought to unveil. The tension was palpable, like a tightrope stretched to its limits. As he stepped forward, the echoes of his boots reverberating against the polished floor, marking the beginning of a confrontation years in the making.
Grace Pardew and Ursula Drockers Krolfeche.
Ursula Drockers turned, her presence commanding as she scanned Jarek with piercing blue eyes. The remnants of a smile dancing on her lips like a practiced mask.
You've come to play a dangerous thing, Jarek.
Do you truly believe you can outmaneuver me?
Ye.
Her voice flowed like silk over steel, each word laced with a careful blend of amusement and menace. Jarek met her gaze, the weight of his resolve audifying yet against the tide of her intimidation.
I'm not dead to play, Ursula. And you are generating a deception.
The code reveals the truth, and in time the world knows it.
The challenge hung between them, a fragile line drawn in the air, thick with a scent of danger and defiance.
Jarek took a step, unrolling the ancient code with trembling fingers, the ink glistening under the chandelier light. As the scroll unfurled, Ursula leaned forward, her expression shifting from mockery to genuine intrigue. You think those archaic symbols hold any power over me? she scoffed, but Jarek could see the flicker of doubt in her eyes. The legacy of our people, the truth you've buried under layers of lies. You've twisted our history to suit your greed, but it ends tonight. The hall, once a bastion of her dominion, now felt thought a battleground, shadows swirling round them, even if the very walls were conspired against her. The silence stretched, thick and expectant, as Ursula's lips curled into a sly smile.
You're brave, Jarek, but bravery without wisdom is foolishness.
Do you think you can expose me without consequences? Her words dripped with venom, yet Jarek stood firm, the scroll gripped tightly in his hands, as if it were an anchor in the storm.
You may silence voices, but truth has a way of surfacing.
I won't back down. I've come too far to let fear control me now.
Each heartbeat pulsed with the weight of his defiance, his voice steady despite the gale of her dominance swirling around him, igniting a fire within that threatened to consume everything he once feared. As Ursula's laughter echoed through the hall, a sound both beautiful and brutal, Jarek felt a shift within himself.
The ancient code was more than words. It was the embodiment of his journey, the hope of his people.
With newfound conviction, he declared, I reveal your treachery, no matter the cost. The truth will shine brighter than the gold that adorns your halls. The words, bold and unwavering, resonated in the vast chamber, puncturing the veil of Ursula's confidence, setting the stage for a reckoning that neither could evade. In that moment, surrounded by opulence and deceit, the gravity of his words settled like a shroud in the air. The silence that followed was electric, a precursor to the storm that would soon erupt.
Ursula's eyes narrowed, the amusement replaced with palpable animosity. Her next move, shrouded in dangerous uncertainty.
Jarek's heart thundered in his chest, an awareness of the precipice on which they stood, both poised for an inevitable clash. The ancient code, the embodiment of his courage, could either herald freedom or doom. They took a deep breath, ready to face whatever retaliation awaited ahead, knowing one thing for certain, the world would never be the same again after tonight. As dawn broke over the river's delta, the lake of the ancients shimmered with a silvery stillness, a mirror reflecting the deep hues of the awakening sky. Mist curled around the edges of the water, whispering secrets to the ancient trees that crown the shoreline, their gnarled roots embracing the earth like old rend. Xandria Dunewind stood at the water edge, her breath catching in her throat as she caught sight of her reflection, the visage of a warrior, both familiar and foreign. The weight of her journey pressed upon her, the truth she had unearthed heavy and transformative, yet liberating. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and the sweet perfume of blooming wildflowers, grounding her amid the turmoil of her thoughts. She was no longer just a daughter of the Delta. She was a guardian of something far greater, poised between the past and an uncertain future. A soft rustling behind her made Xandria turn, and there stood Ursula Dragon, her mentor, cloaked in the authority of years spent navigating the complexities of knowledge and power. Ursula's presence was a balm to Xandria's fraying nerves. You've done well, child, she said, her voice a low, soothing melody that cut through the tension like a knife through fog. Xandria searched Ursula's piercing blue eyes for doubt, but found only pride mirrored back. But every truth comes with a cost, doesn't it? Ursula stepped out, the fabric of her dark purple gown swirling like shadows around her. Yes, but embracing that cost is what defines a true guardian, she replied, her gaze shifting to the lake's surface, where the first rays of sunlight danced.
You stand not at the edge of this lake, but at the brink of your destiny.
The code you hold is powerful, and sharing it changed everything. Xandria's heart raced, a tumult of fear and exhilaration coursing through her veins.
She recalled the faces of those who would be affected. Families torn apart by lies, lives overshadowed by the weight of secrecy. "What if they don't understand?" she whispered, her voice thick with the weight of unspoken worries. "What if my truth brings more chaos than clarity?" Ursula placed a steadying hand on Xandria's shoulder, the warmth of her touch anchoring in the swirling uncertainty. "You must trust that the right voices will rise from the throng, just as the sun rises to dispel the darkness."
You are ready, Xandria.
Step forward and embrace it.
As the first golden light spilled over the horizon, illuminating the vast expanse of water, Xandria felt her resolve strengthen, a dawning awareness that she was indeed prepared to step into the role of truth-bearer, her heart beating in time with the rhythm of a new ed.
With a deep breath, Xandria turned her gaze from the lake to the path ahead, the golden light washing over her like a benediction. The weight of her past felt lighter, as if the dawn itself had lifted it from her shoulders, and for the first time, she felt the exhilarating thrill of possibility.
The ancient code burned like a fire in her mind, ready to be shared, ready to forge the future.
Grits, sensing the shift in her apprentice, nodded subtly, a sign of encouragement mixed with wisdom. Xandria took a step forward, the cool grass beneath her boots, a reminder of the earth she was leaving behind, and the promise of what lay ahead. The first taste of freedom, interwoven with the responsibility of the truth she would unleash, lingered in the air, heavy with anticipation.